Clint Eastwood sees musicians selling his talent for chemotherapy. What he discovers moves him. Night was falling over Los Angeles, covering the city with a veil of darkness punctuated by flashing neon signs. The streets were bustling, filled with hurried people going back and forth, immersed in their own routines. Amid the scattered voices and city noises, a specific sound stood out. A sorrowful melody, heavy with emotion, came from a corner of the sidewalk. In the middle of the crowd, a frail boy, appearing no older than 13, held an old guitar with strings worn from constant use. His voice was soft, yet powerful enough to pierce through the urban murmur and reach the distracted hearts passing by. He sang with his soul, conveying a message that went beyond the words of the song. Few people stopped to listen, but those who did were touched by the intensity of the moment. His small, improvised sign, written in shaky handwriting, explained why he was there. Playing to help my mom with chemotherapy. The simple message carried an immense weight, and every coin that dropped into the case was a breath of hope. Among the anonymous spectators, a tall man stood still, carefully observing every detail of the scene. His hands were tucked into the pockets of his coat, and his firm, contemplative gaze left no doubt that something was deeply moving him. The light from a nearby street lamp revealed his face, Clint Eastwood. The renowned actor and director stood there, absorbing the moment, unaware that he was about to change a life forever. The boy continued playing, his nimble fingers gliding over the worn guitar strings. He knew every crack on the instrument, every imperfection, but none of that mattered. What mattered was the music that flowed from it, the expression of his struggle and his unconditional love for his mother. With each note he played, his hope was renewed, even if just a little. The crowd around him did not share the same commitment. Some people tossed coins absent-mindedly without even looking at him. Others rushed past, oblivious to the effort and pain behind that performance. Still, the boy kept going, because stopping was not an option. His mother depended on him, and his dedication was the only way he could help. Clint Eastwood didn't look away. His face, marked by time and experience, appeared hardened, but inside, something stirred. He observed every movement of the boy, every expression on his thin, weary face. Something in those eyes was familiar to him. It was the same determination he had seen before, the same fire he himself had carried when he had to fight to become who he is. The melody continued, and Clint felt a tightness in his chest. He knew that feeling, recognizing an invisible battle, a silent struggle that few acknowledge. The world often ignores those who need help the most, but he wasn't willing to do the same. Something needed to be done, and he was going to take action. As the boy played, Clint's mind drifted back to a distant time, an era when he was just a young man trying to find his way. He remembered the hardships he faced, the closed doors, and the moments when he thought about giving up. Every obstacle he encountered shaped his character, making him who he was. He also remembered his mother, a strong, determined woman who never allowed adversity to defeat her. She worked tirelessly to ensure that he had a better life, even when resources were scarce. Her effort was a reflection of the unwavering love she had for her son, and Clint never forgot that. The memory of his youth hit him like a punch. He knew what it was like to fight against the odds, to feel like the world was too big for someone so small. He remembered the times he had to rely on the kindness of strangers, those who extended a hand when he needed it most. Now, he was standing before an opportunity to do the same for someone else. The boy on the sidewalk wasn't just another street musician. He represented the struggle of many, the silent effort of those doing their best to keep going. Clint took a deep breath, feeling a sense of purpose take over. He couldn't just stand by and watch. He had to act. When the boy finished his song, Clint walked up to him and crouched down to meet his eyes. The boy looked at him with a mix of surprise and uncertainty, instantly recognizing who was in front of him. He clutched his guitar tightly, as if it were his only shield. "What's your name, son?" Clint asked, his voice deep but filled with genuine interest. The boy hesitated for a moment before answering. "Tommy. My name is Tommy." His voice was low but firm. Clint nodded, observing him for a moment before continuing. "And your mother, how is she?" he asked, his tone softer this time. Tommy swallowed hard before answering. He didn't like to show weakness, but something about the presence of this man made him feel like he could speak. "She needs chemotherapy, sir, but it's really expensive. I try to help however I can." His voice carried a mix of pride and desperation. Clint stared at the boy for a few seconds, then pulled his wallet from his pocket. Without hesitation, he placed several bills into the boy's guitar case. "This should help a little, but it's not enough. Wait here for me." Tommy watched him leave, not fully understanding what had just happened. The next morning, Tommy and his mother were surprised by unexpected news. An anonymous donation had covered all the costs of her treatment. Tommy's mother, overwhelmed with emotion, couldn't believe it. Her son, who had carried such a heavy burden for so long, could finally breathe a sigh of relief. That same night, Tommy returned to his usual spot, but this time, something was different. Clint Eastwood was there, leaning against a lamppost, watching him again. Tommy ran up to him. "It was you, wasn't it?" he asked, his voice trembling. Clint simply gave a small smile and shrugged. "We have to help those who fight, kid. Now play something for me. I want to see what you can do." Tommy picked up his guitar and started playing. The crowd gathered, but this time everyone knew this moment was special. Clint just watched, satisfied to have changed a destiny that night. And you, what did you think of this inspiring story? If a simple act of kindness can change a life, imagine the impact we can have by helping those in need. Share this story to inspire more people to make a difference in the world. What part touched you the most? Leave your comment.